Hello, welcome. Yes, people are making it. Ooh. Hi, just go over there, everything. Hi, I'm Valgan. I do Udon tutorials and Udon features for the VRChat platform. I do standalone Unity development as my primary work, and we've been working on a few different things, such as this inventory system that we've got. So this system is basically a full redesign of an older prop inventory tool that I had built out for VRChat. That one was called inventively pickup inventory because it's an inventory for your pickups. And while that system had a lot of things going for it, it really couldn't be expanded out beyond that. And I ended up getting a lot of people asking, hey, how can I use this for my complicated game world? And it's like, well, it doesn't really do that, unfortunately. So this system is designed basically from the start to do that. The original one was very much like, okay, if you have like a basketball in your world and you want to put it in your inventory, cool, perfect, awesome. Whereas this one will be more useful for people who are making like, I don't know, an MMO or a like an RP world where a bunch of people are like in character doing things and you have like inventories and stuff for that. Excuse me. So the idea is it will generally be more useful for something like that. And let's actually just go over what we've got set up here so far. So in our environment, we have a bunch of different props. We have like backpack, battle axe, bottles, dagger, ingot, sword, warhammer, and this thing, the item instance. This is the thing that gets cloned and copied and turned into actual items. So for this system, every player has their own inventory, and that inventory can spawn up to, let's say, for example, 20 synced items. You can change that number in, well, right here, just like max player count is 20 right here, but max pool size is 10. So here it just expects there to be no more than 20, and every player gets 10 items they can spawn. Now, what this does is this pool is a set of synced objects that are spawned in the build process, and you basically get assigned onto them when you're going on it. Inventory time. Yeah. So these are assigned when you try to spawn something and are only ever available to you when you are in the world. Which means that while we are using player objects for instantiating a bunch of stuff, we're using the world syncing system. Well, we're using a pre-existing pool in the world so that you can spawn something and be able to hand it to someone, which would have been a hard limit of the player object one. So we're going to be basically taking what we have here and try to flesh it out a bit more. I also need to turn my music down a little bit more. There we go. Okay, so here we have our item library, which is basically just a list of all of the different items that we have in our scene here. These can also be prefabs, but I just have them in the scene for testing. And during the build process, this gets turned into all of these arrays of a bunch of different stuff with my editor tooling. And up here is the player inventory. This is the thing that is the actual player object. When will the next update to this be? Probably months out, I'm going to be honest. Because I'm currently working on it. But yeah, so we're going to be making a bunch of stuff work here. Now, one thing that I noticed just before stream when I was testing stuff is that a lot of these things have use gravity checked and don't have a collider. So while they do have a point where they're being picked up from, which is down here, it doesn't actually have like a box collider on it. So I'll just make a child object for that. A box collider. Point 1. One's probably fine. 0.05. Load as I go. Let's see, 0.4, 0.35, yeah, 0.35, and 1.3, yeah, that works good. And let's just apply that to the prefab. Oh, right, this isn't a prefab yet. This is just a thing in the scene. Let's go and testing to make sure it's very capable of use and make sure there's multiple players without issue. Yes. Who knows the game called Yet Another Zombie Defense? I do not know it by name. Is it a actual game or a VR chat game? Oh, thank you. This is. I'm happy to hear that. Alright, let's see what happens if we try spawning in a sword. See if that works. Ta-da! Spawned in, and we can pick it up. Now, what's actually happening here is... here, let's just go ahead and drop that. What's actually happening for this prop is... there's a few things here. The world item pool is the parent that holds all of these objects. The first thing in here is instance 00, meaning it belongs to the first ID of players, and it's the 0th in that list. So just the first one. Then instance pickup is the child of that, which is the actual thing that you pick up and hold and move around, because the root thing has to be manual synced, while this one is object synced with a VRC object sync component. And then beneath that again is an instantiated object, which is a clone of this object here, which is doing a lot of things actually, because during the build process, you'll see that when we're looking at the sword, we actually have a component on here called an item descriptor. Now, that's a custom one that I built out for this system, where it has like title, description, icon, and an item ID, which is just a GUID, or just one of these long-ass numbers, and a bunch of other information about what you can do with it at runtime. So it can be stackable, it can use gravity. Traits are just a dual string thing where you can have a title and a value, so you can say, oh, its traits for element is fire, and stuff like that. But that doesn't actually do anything yet, but it is transferred over into runtime. I just don't have anything testing for it yet. And then the pickup settings down here, auto hold, orientation, the hold reference, and what kind of collider it should use for picking it up. Now, one of the issues that we had with this is, sorry, I will get to that. One of the issues that we had with this system originally is that when you instantiate something under a pickup, you can't use a child. You can't use a child for a target collider for picking something up. So if you want to pick something up, you have to use the collider that's on it, or it like behaves really weirdly. So what I end up doing is the item instance here, the thing that actually gets instantiated, has a item pickup here that just has all three types of colliders on it: a box, a sphere, and a capsule. And it just only enables and sets the values for the one that you want. So when we look at our sword over here, you'll see that it uses sphere with a center of 0 and a radius of 0.22, which we can just be set to anything. Can an ID be a string for easy search? Yeah, so you can use anything you want in the ID here. Like I can set this to be blah, 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 and like semicolons, anything. You can put anything here, but if you just need a new unique ID, you can just press this button, and there you go. I'm actually gonna paste in the old one here because that's the thing that this here is targeting. Right now, my test systems just have copy paste for the item IDs, but they're going to have automation for referencing those items during the build process. So it's an actual game, but I'm working on a project for VR chat. That game is turning out good, but I know it can be better. I'm looking for a person to collab with on it because it would be a bit of help. Gotcha. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of people out there that I think would be quite good for that. I've been pretty busy as of late with my own contract work, so unfortunately I won't really be able to take anything on in that regard. But I do wish you luck with that. Okay, so we have a system for spawning an item and actually making it do things. So let's verify this by, I'm going to go ahead and swap from auto switch for hierarchy stuff and swap to display capture. There we go. So I'm going to launch up VRC quick launcher here with my two builds here, because I have some issues with the VRChat SDK panel just not really working right for me. But I'll wait for these to boot up. Go ahead and build and reload. And I'll get to see my loading bars, which never show up on stream, so it just looks like I'm waiting for nothing. Alright, I have created a sword, and if I drop that, then yeah, the other person can come up and grab it. Perfect. Now, if I do this, this doesn't actually spawn anything because I'm not properly declaring ownership over it yet. So that is something that I need to fix. But if I go here and spawn it as this person, see, it all spawns correctly. But yeah, these are the ones that aren't synced right. So things to fix. Other willing to work on VRChat is some food, but okay. The other thing that I need to do is set all of these to be on the pickup layer. Somewhere. Blind? There we are. And now we can go back to the auto switch. There we go. So, first thing, we saw that when player 2 was trying to spawn something, it was doing it locally, but it wasn't giving it physics and it wasn't instantiating it for the other player. But for the main player, it was working fine. Which means we need to step through this process and figure out where that system is getting lost for non-owners. Basically, it just means that there's somewhere that ownership is not being properly assigned. Alright, so in our test thing here, we just referenced the bull twice. So, item data, we get the item, we debug log the title. Actually, we can drop that because we're correctly instantiating now. We add the item, and then we spawn the item. So, adding the item, how does this work? Add item, checks if it's stackable. If not, puts in unique items. And this is just local caching for item information. So let's step back to here and go to the spawn item process. Spawn item checks your stackable items here or your unstackable, which is just unique items. Remove item fill data. Fill data isn't quite right. So, okay, this is the part where I need to come up with a safety net for actually gaining ownership of this thing. How do I want to do that? So fill data, grabs an item instance. Items, this is populated when get local pool. Okay. So, okay, yeah, so this shouldn't ever run on an item that doesn't logistically make sense for the player to be owning. Okay, so it is safe for me to do the ownership assignation here. So networking local player dot set owner. Oh, wait, no, networking dot set owner. Networking local player and a game object. And during that process, sets a synced ID, requests serialization, on deserialization. On deserialization takes the item ID or the item data, pumps that into the pickups data with the item data here. And that should be done for everyone. Okay, so now I think I can actually just go ahead and launch that up again. We shouldn't have to do too much. We shouldn't have to do too much work in VR chat today. It's a little bit annoying for streaming, testing multiple VR chat clients, as you can probably tell just by looking at my stream at the moment. I'm gonna get some of this handled here. Alright, display capture. So this one, we'll press and spawn a thing. Okay, shows up for the other player. Move around, it can be thrown. Let's see, I just spawn all of them here. Okay, and the other player come up and spawn their own. That is also seen. Perfect. Cool, cool. Awesome, awesome. Oh, there is one other thing that we need to fix from that, just looking at it. When we claim ownership here, we are only claiming ownership of the actual data part of it, not the pickup, which is using the VRC object sync. So we're just gonna put that in here, do dot game, game object. There we go. And that would resolve exactly that. Perfect. Let's go back to auto switch. Okay, so we are now correctly spawning objects. Let's swap back into Unity here. And I need just a debug way to unspawn objects. I don't code, but I'm wondering if we, as in my partner, will be allowed or should have to modify the code to change it so we could add specific components like a search bar for the IDs if it's not natively implemented. I mean, it should be perfectly doable. For my system, I plan on having a set of search options as it is. Like you can search for IDs, which is just an independent name thing here, but there is also just a title string that you can have or a description. I'll probably even give it like a tags thing, which is just an array of strings that are various tags for it. Like if you want to search for sword and there's 10 different types of sword, then yeah, you can absolutely do that. But yeah, if you want to add your own kind of sorting system for in the future, then yeah, nothing that I make should be locked down in a way that isn't useful for users to expand on. Okay, so we need to remove an item. So let's have a trash can, essentially, where you can place an item in order to remove it. Demo trash can. That looks vaguely like a trash can. Okay. Just wondering if it would be a tag or ID thing, but titles work. I thought it was going to be the no, you can't modify like some item the avatar creation spaces. Well, a lot of what I build is tools and systems, which for a lot of people would be useless if they can't expand on or modify those systems as they are. Some of my most popular tools are a localization system for adding various like language support to your world, and a menu generator where you can just add a bunch of menu things and hit the build button and it creates a in-world menu for you. And those things are really cool, but they'd also kind of be pretty useless if there wasn't ways for people to add their own features to them. Because like, I'm not going to add support to the menu system for VRC stage lighting. I don't own VRC stage lighting, nor do I know how it works. So I'm going to let other people figure that out. Alright, let's create a script for demo trash can. So let's think this one. When it interacts with the pickup, it's going to be interacting with item instance pickup, and that needs to be able to tell it to clear itself. So we could just say clear here. That doesn't actually return it to the inventory. We need to talk to the item instance, which needs to talk to the inventories. Oh crap. Okay. This is going to be a whole thing. All right. So there's a few tiers of communication that need to actually happen for this. Item instance needs to know about the inventory that is controlling it. Assign item ID should be only called from an... Okay, yeah. So we can have this require a player inventory, and give this a private player inventory. Equals inventory. And the item instance pickup should just have an existing reference to the item instance. So we'll do item instance. And I don't want this to be private. I want this to be public with a public get and a private set, and hit that with field serialized field and rename that here. that way, this doesn't get assigned via other scripts, but can be accessed, read from other scripts. So, if the oh right, we need yes, there we go. All right, so demo trash can. So we need an on trigger enter, and we'll check for an item instance pickup from other.get component item instance pickup. Oops. And then if there's no pickup, return. Otherwise, we'll do pickup.instance.inventory. Oh wait, that needs to be similarly. That needs to be a field, a serialized field, or a public inventory, or a get private set. This doesn't need to be serialized. Yeah, no. That can just be accessible. Instance inventory dot. We need to have a system for returning an item to the inventory. So assign item ID. This happens here. And items active index. Okay. Okay. Okay, yeah. So assign item data there, and I guess instead of having an array for items active as a bool, we could have a we could have a data list for that. Item instances. Why is this a data dictionary? What is this? Oh, right, because index can be whatever. Okay, so we do have that. Item instances. Okay, that makes sense. Let's go ahead and do a... Hold on, let's rename these from add item to inventory and remove item from inventory, because that's going to be separate from removing an item from like the overworld. So I guess despawn item. So despawn item, that'll be instance data. Instance. Do I want instance data? No, I want instance. Item instance. Instance data is a class here of a bunch of stuff that I've got. Oh, is spawned even useful for this? I don't think so. Because we never use it. Yeah, I don't think that would ever be used. Okay. We can go ahead and drop that here. So despawn item pickup.instance. So this will now check so check item instances. If item instance Try get value for instance. Type of data dictionary. Out value. We want a instance data. Data equals value dot item instance data. There we go. So we need to clear that out. Man, I feel like this isn't necessary. I could be wrong. What on earth would instance tags be? Man, I don't know. I have no idea what that feature was. Okay, let's look at this then. Despawn item. So we have the data for that item. We need to get its ID. Actually, if we're looking at item instances, the keys for this are contains. I don't think I can do an inverse dictionary lookup based on keys, but I could loop through it, but I don't really want to do that. All right, let's not do that. So I'll do int index equals items dot, oh wait, no, array dot index of items instance if index equals -1, debug log warning, item instance was not found in item list. Yes. Return. Now let's go ahead and, since we know the index does exist. Actually, wait, add items to, okay, yeah. What is this instance data and why am I doing anything with it? I don't know what this is. I don't remember why I made this. Find out sometime! Exclamation point. Alright, so we want to do items active index equals false. I guess maybe I just wanted to move information out of here into the actual individual items. But that's only in the situation that there's an existing instance of it, which I don't think... I think whatever system I was working on there needs to be rethought. I just don't know what said thought would be. Item pool set. Okay, yeah. So when we have this, we now need to clear it. I think that is just all we need to do then. Instance clear. Assign item ID. Yeah, okay, so we'll do public void clear item ID, and that should just call assign item ID string.empty. And passing to existing inventory. I don't know why I made it, but yeah. Clear item ID. Okay. So let's step through this again. Despawn item. This is being called on the pickup instance inventory, which I think we should just have a wrapper for that on the pickup itself. So there's a null item. So that loads a null item. Yeah, okay. This I'm going to do data.id, item ID. Okay, yeah, so we'll just have a public void despawn item, which just tells the instance inventory to despawn item of instance. Okay. So on trigger enter, alright, that should actually, if utilities is valid, other, return the false check. There we go. Just used to that borking too often. Alright, so now hypothetically, I can add a demo trash can to this, make it a trigger collider, and if I spawn an object, I should be able to drag it over here and kill it. Once we get into play mode. Alright. Spawn item. Perfect. Move it over here. Oh, okay. I need to fix a reference for there we go, item instance, this, open that up, instance pickup, this needs a reference back to the top of it, and a save, close. Now, try it again. Bang. We have spawned a sword. Picked it up. Drop it in the trash can. And it's turned off. Perfect. Oh, okay. But it's trying to re-instantiate it here because the instantiation process doesn't actually declare a position for it. And since it's being spawned in the trash can, it's immediately trashing it again. Okay. So the spawn item process needs to require a position. So let's pass in a vector 3 world position. Assign item ID. Yeah, let's give that a 53 world position. Sign item ID. Okay. Item instance pickup. Let's also do a VRC object sync. So we want sync dot. Yeah, this is teleport too. So we'll have public void teleport prop teleport item. Position, and that will largely just be a wrapper for sync teleport 2, but if we ever need to add more stuff in the future, what else does this need? Oh, sync.teleport2 only takes a transform. It doesn't take a position. Do I stack a transform reference for that? Could I ever need to spawn something somewhere that there isn't a transform reference for? I think if the build structure for the project assumes so, then it's fine. So let's just make this a transform spawn point. No, transform spawn point. Transform spawn point. How actually do I want to handle this? Because teleporting requires ownership. But my setup here immediately calls on deserialization, which loads the item to the position, which triggers the collision. So I need to have that happen beforehand. So I guess this also needs to claim ownership. Spawn item. Yeah, okay. We'll do instance.teleport item to spawn point. Okay. Now if we go back here, we'll need a transform reference for the spawning, so call it transform spawn point. I like this music, but I think we're out of the playlist that I had earlier. Yeah, let's go back to, there we go. my music playlist has shrunk as of late because I used to have all the Animal Crossing New Horizons OST on it, and my source of that was taken down. So RIP whoever posted that. Alright, spawn point just be there. Alright, immediately breaking. Oh, right, because I didn't manually assign the object sync. The object sync could be inferred to be on the same object as the pickup, but I want it to be manually assigned and not have to run on start or on enable for this, so that it's not additional load when you're loading into a scene. I don't want to do 500 get component checks whenever someone joins the scene. So, oh, that still also broke. Object reference is sent to instance of object. Teleport to spawn point, assign item data. Is that not set? Alright, let's step through it. Teleport item. It's called from assign item data. Spawn point. And that is here. That's assigned from here. What is possibly failing? I'm gonna try something. I think it's gonna be stupid, but I'm gonna try something. If I go ahead, take the first instance and enable the pickup manually here, and then I go, that works perfectly fine. But the next one immediately breaks. Okay, so the calling sync.teleport2 for ownership assignation breaks if the game object is not yet enabled. Wow. All right. In that case, I'm going to try a different method. Do sync.flag discontinuity and see if that is fine. So we'll do pickup.transform set position and rotation to the spawn point position, spawn point rotation, and just do flag discontinuity. Because if that still breaks, then that just means that the object sync hasn't been initialized at all. Yep, okay. In that case, how do we handle that? So the pickup has load item called. It does not do anything on enable. Okay, so that should be fine. Let's have a public void teleport item. Just basically do that stuff here. Game object set active true. Then teleport item. Just make this a wrapper for pick up teleport item. In that case, we don't actually need a reference to the object sync here for it, if we're just going to make wrappers on it. So that should be fine. Let's head back into Unity, adjust the prefab here once it's loaded. Come on, you can put. There we go. Okay. Open. Pick up. Object sync. There we go. Save. Back out. Then hit play. And hopefully calling game object set active gives it enough time to immediately after that line be initialized for teleporting. Perfect. Okay. Nice. Now I'm gonna take these, put them over here. 3. Let's do all the ones that are standing up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. All right. That is doing exactly what I needed to. Let me just actually try this over here. There we go. Amazing. The trash can has spoken. Perfect. All right. We have functional sync instantiation. We have sync cleaning. That being said, this trash can should only run if you are the owner of it. How do I wanna? Yeah, despawn item should only run or only succeed at running if you are the owner of it. Which I guess is true. Because it's in here. Okay, yeah. So while the code will attempt to run if you are not the owner for it, it'll short circuit here for it. Okay, perfect. All right, in that case, I'm actually going to take a brief bathroom break. So I'm going to let you hear with the music for about 2 minutes, and I shall be right back. I have returned. All right. Let's see here. We actually have the backing data for the inventory, but we obviously don't have any UI for, well, representing said inventory. How do I want to go about this? I guess I can just go with the absolute bare minimum of list of items with a name and a spawn button, and just for now assert that everything isn't stackable. We'll just make sure that is true though. Okay, yeah, nothing's stackable. Let's go and build the most basic god-awful UI for this. One at 1200 by 800, scaled at 0.001. Give it the UI shape and put it on the walkthrough layer. Okay. UI panel. Oh. I was like, why is there a dot on my screen? Oh, it was literally just a smudge on my monitor. Alright, so we're going to need that, yeah. Okay, so UI, we are going to create a scroll view. Let's just, I don't know, do that expanded off the bottom by 200. This only needs to go vertical, so uncheck horizontal, move horizontal there, remove that, remove the bottom from this, sliding area, oh we don't actually, we want viewport content, then we want content size fitter, vertical preferred, then we want a vertical layout group, uncheck force expand, check control child size. Now we'll have, let's button, yeah, just use a button. Okay. Disable navigation. We want a layout element, preferred width 99999. Preferred height, do 50. Let's do 100. Get rid of the text mesh pro icon. Donk, donk. Oh, we need to remove navigation on this, so we'll set the scroll sensitivity to 0, which is the same thing. Scroll bar, navigation, none. So now, if I repeatedly duplicate this button, there we go. See the scroll bar on the side gets smaller and smaller, because it's representing more and more things. Alright, let's make a folder for UI. And this will be a new script for item field. Let writer think here for a bit as it figures out what it's supposed to be doing. There we go. All right, so this will need a public button, public, label? What is it called? Oh, it's a TMP underscore text label. Then we'll have a public void populate data, and that will take a item data, and we'll just do label dot text equals data dot title. So I'll just make our world's most basic inventory menu script. And in here, we'll have let's just have a button to match the current UI, match the current inventory. So we'll have a public void match inventory, but we need a bunch of stuff in order to do that. So we'll have a public item field, item prefab, a public inventory, player inventory, how am I getting the player inventory before? I was doing it in the demo things here. Okay, yeah, so we have a reference to the inventory pool, and that just does dot local inventory. Okay. So this has a thing for getting, let's do unique items. Yeah, okay. So we have our stuff of unique items. I'll do a for each. Oh wait, no, is this an array? No, this is a data list, which doesn't support for eaches. Our items equals data list, or items dot length, and do bar item equals items dot item data. So now we'll need a public transform for a item list container. Item list container. Okay, yeah. So we'll do a item field. Field equals instantiate item prefab dot game object dot get component item field, because Udon doesn't let us do instantiation based on component reference. We have to do it like this, which is fine. In order to do that correctly, we then pass this item list container. There we go. Then we do field dot populate data. Yeah, item. And now we need a way to call match inventory. What's going to be the best way for that? Oh, wait, we actually need to destroy everything first. So while item list container dot child account is greater than 0, destroy item list container dot get child 0.game object. This is not the way you want to do this in the long run, because this is a bunch of destruction and instantiation, which will hit your game. But we're just getting stuff working. The correct idea is to have a recycle pool so that you can just keep reusing items. But that's a eventually TM kind of thing. Alright, prefabs. We'll have a folder in here for UI. Add item field. Let's call this one item field. Inventory. Menu, there we go. So prefab, there. Inventory pool, inventories. Item list container, content. And we should just be able to call the thing from client sim. We get a pop up from that. Alright. So this shouldn't do anything at first, but if I click match inventory, all right, no crash, no nothing. Good. Now I want to spawn a few things and return them here. Match inventory. It's a lot of nothing happening. All right. So we're getting unique items here. Unique items is added to, right? Alright, let's do some logging. Debug log. We'll do. I want the local inventory first. So local see. Player inventory inv equals inventory pool dot local. Log. This will be stacked. Nv dot stacked items dot count. Unique is inv dot unique items dot count, and instances item instances. Oh wait, this is inv dot item instances dot count. So this log should be saying something at all. And if it doesn't, well, that's our clear indicator. Our event isn't properly being called from client sim when we do that, which is easier to fiddle with than fixing these wrong numbers. All right. Go ahead. World item pool. Instead, click on canvas. Run event. Match inventory. Okay. So it is giving us numbers. We haven't put anything into the inventory yet, so let's spawn a bunch of things. That should put them into the inventory because it's an item managed via the player. Stacked 0, unique 0, instances 10. And if I put a few items into the inventory, what happens? Well, into the trash can. Log is the same thing. Alright, is unique items not actually being updated correctly? Oh, okay. So, I guess that is an important distinction. An item can be in your inventory and it can be spawned, but it can be spawned from your inventory, which has to be a unique array of things, which I guess is what item instances is. So if I turn these things over here. Yeah, we're gonna have to change that. Despawn item is active, clear item ID, and item instances dot remove instance. And we want to do add item to inventory instance dot loaded data. With a system, how many items should you be able to have in your inventory? I heard with persistence you can have only 100 kilobytes of data. That is true. That will entirely depend on how I'm storing unique items and stuff like that. So, for example, if something is stackable, the difference between having one of those items in your inventory and 10,000 of them is 4 characters, which each one of those is a byte. So that shouldn't be too much of a concern. The big concern is when there's lots of different kinds of items, and I don't really see that being a concern for a long time, at least not until unique metadata for individual items becomes playable. Like, if you have an inventory of, let's say, like 2/3 health swords, that's a health would be a trait of that thing, and it would be additional data. But I don't know how I'm gonna completely handle the storage of that data, because it'd be like it would have like a metadata thing on it that would indicate it being unique compared to the other stuff. How do I want to handle that? That should be fine. Realistically, what this won't affect is how many items go in your inventory. What it will affect is how item data is stored. I have 400 food items and then 120 ingredient items planned from a game, and each have consumable stats. Yeah, it really depends on how that kind of stuff would be stored. Because if it's just like individual types, then a lot of that type data, like okay, so let's say you have 30 salt shakers, and each of those salt shakers has a boldness value. If you just give your inventory 30 salt shakers, that's fine. They just know that they have a max of 100, and that's just part of the salt shaker identity. You don't need to be storing that in the persistence statement. But if you take all of those salt shakers and get like 10% of the salt out of them, each one of them needs to be told that they have a unique data modifier for its metadata. So I think that is where data size would become restricted. It's probably fine. Should be fine. Something to play around with. Yeah, if there's just 400 unique items, then the only thing that your persistence data is actually storing is just the ID, which right now is a GUID, but I might change in the future to just being a literal integer that you put in, and it might not even be player assigned. It might just be what is the position in the, where is it? The item library, that is. So like backpack is 0, battle axe is 1, stuff like that. The reason that I'm not doing that out of the gate is because that means you can't reorganize this without completely changing what people's items are when they join into the world. So if you add a few more items and you're like, oh, I want to alphabetize this list, then it would completely scramble that. Which is why I'm going with GUIDs, but GUIDs are definitely not a not a short amount of text. Things to think about in the future. But let's double check the inventory stuff now. Alright, canvas, custom event, match inventory, 000. Do that. Match inventory, 001. Return it to the trash over here. Match inventory, sword. Perfect. Alright. So, in that case, we're just going to do this a bunch. Then drag the trash can over here to consume them. Then I want to go back to canvas, match inventory. Well, Udon choked on that one. And okay, yeah, it was, this is what I thought it would have gotten choked on, but I don't know. Okay, well, instead of doing get child, we'll do brackets 0, which, oh, is that just a visual element thing? I thought that was a way to get the child for it. I thought that was the right way to destroy child objects. Hold on. Unity, destroy all children. You're trying to destroy the transform. No, I'm using the correct one, which is the getChild.game object. Um, some people for each. This shouldn't have broken, though. Well, let's try the for each one. For each thing in item list container. Transform child. Destroy child.GameObject. I really thought this was the like wild child count above 0, destroy child 0. I really thought that was the correct method for this. Alright, let's go through, spawn all these things, add 1 to the inventory, and canvas, do match inventory, it has 1, right? Match inventory again, is 1. Match inventory now has 2. Now let's go ahead and drag this over them all. And match inventory on canvas. Okay, yeah, that worked fine. I really don't know why it hitched on this one. This is the method I normally use. Maybe for some reason it just wasn't happy doing it in Udon. Alright. Let's do some bit of commenting in here so I actually know what these things are the next time I return to them. Unique items. Items unable to be stacked. Each value is an item data. Item instances, this is instantiated items. Okay. Now, instead of me having to manually click in, let's go ahead and have a callback for items being added to the menu. Well, not the menu, but the inventory. Oh, that of course requires me to invent callbacks. Right, because that's not like a thing in Udon. Let me open up a different project of mine in which I have done this before. Ooh, excuse me. Image load task. Okay. Does this have proper subscriptions? No, it doesn't. I don't remember what project I did that in. Alright, I guess I'll just do it from scratch. Alright, Udon subscription? Udon action. Sure, we'll do that. Udon action. So this is going to be some right old nonsense. Because we are going to be inheriting from data dictionaries and doing something called Dart classes. Public static class on action extensions. We want a public const string. Listener targets. Listener targets. I guess just targets will be fine. And then the events. Okay, so we'll do a public Udon action, public static Udon action create. So we'll have a data dictionary with the targets equals a new data list. Data dictionary. New data dictionary. And dictionary targets. And then key events will also do that. And return dictionary as cast to Udon action. And our extensions here, let's go ahead and just have a public static Udon action. This data token cast that immediately as an Udon action from token.datadictionary. So now we add all of our extension things. So public static void add action. Or add listener. And this Udon action with a Udon behavior target and a string event name. So we'll do action Udon action key targets dot data list dot add target. I can probably extend that out a bit. So public static data list targets. This udon action. Just have that return action udon action dot targets data list. And then have events. Action targets dot add target and events dot add event name. Instead of doing it this way, I might actually be able to. Let's change that. So instead of having it being these two here, let's have udon action be a different thing, and this will be udon event. No, udon action is correct. Udon event will be our other thing. So we'll have a new script for udon event. Then add to the carry up, and that will be data dictionary. This will basically be similar, but without any of the plurality. So we'll have target event. So target will be game object dot null, or I guess just null as cast to a game object. Yeah, there we go. And events will be string dot empty. Then udon action will have udon event extensions, which basically will just be the one method. Well, actually no, we'll have a getter. So and then we'll have a public static void run event, which will be on this udon event. Event. So we'll have a udon behavior target, udon event, udon event dot key target dot reference as target has to be a udon behavior, not a game object. As cast to an udon behavior. Then string event name will equal udon event dot key event string. Then we do target dot send custom event name. Let's see here. We can add a listener, but we're gonna do it here. So, udon action key items. Or just events, yeah. So we'll be getting a udon event from that. Let's get our... Oh, I'm doing... Whoops, I'm doing the wrong method. Run callbacks. Oop. Run events. So we'll need no other methods passed to this. And go ahead and do a data list events equals action dot. What is this? So events. Events needs to be a data list. I will not need to change that one. Events.length. Then each one of these will be a udon action. Udon event. Event equals events I dot udon event. Udon event dot run event. So now we'll do a events dot add of a udon event dot create. Will be udon behavior target and string event main. Okay. So we can take that and head over to our player inventory and just make a few of them up here. Public udon action. Hello, welcome. Yeah, no worries about being late. All good. So we got another 20 minutes here. Let's see here. Yeah, okay. On item added. Should be a private data dictionary on item added. And we just cast that. Alright, so on item added, on item removed, on item removed, and on item spawned, on item spawned. How on earth do I add variables to these events? Okay. Udon event, data dictionary, Udon. Let's come up with something here. Run event. We don't have a way to run an event with variables attached to it, so we can't just pass the item data along with this. But I think if we add a variable assignation, then we can have that as well. Let's test it out and see what happens. Public const string. He has var equals var. Public const string. The var name. Var false, and this would be string dot empty, and then second one for a string output name. Yeah, I think I'll just swap var with output. Okay. In that case, do output name here and has output to true. Now we figure out how to do this. Output name, the output name, if udon events key udon event dot key. Oops, that needs to be capitalized. He has output dot boolean. Then we can do this stuff up here. Or dot set program variable. Output name. Output value. Okay, and it does let me just t value that. Okay. That should work. I think. Let's make a fast test script for that. Instead of trying to immediately integrate it into the entire inventory system, let's make sure it works. Udon action test. So on interact for this, we'll do on item added dot run events. I will rename that to invoke because it's what I'm used to. And let's similarly t value into this. And then another script for udon action receiver. Public void. Test method. And a public string of my value. Debug, if it will let me do the thing. Okay. Debug log. Test method. And then pop in my value. Have a public string test value. So now we'll need a public udon action test. Action test and in start we'll just do action test dot on item added dot add listener, this name of test method. Oh right, I just need to have a second one of these but for udon sharp. Actually, can you just cast a udon sharp behavior as a udon behavior? I don't think so. Yeah, no. Actually, do I just need to use iUdon event receiver? Man, I wish there were parameter events that weren't networked. Oh well. Well, by compile time, Udon short behaviors are Udon behaviors. So I just have to make 2 of these. All right. There's a bit of a side tangent of me just having to functionally invent something random. But let's go over here, test this, add Udon action test to this, give it a child object, Udon action receiver, action test there, my value. This is a test value, exclamation point. So now, if I come over here and click this object, it should run the callback on the other thing, which will log this value transferred over to the other one. Except for the fact we've immediately broken something. The data list for events doesn't exist yet. Create was never called for this. That's not like a serializable, storable thing. So I guess I just need a initialize thing for it. Is a little silly, but that does work. All right, so this shouldn't immediately error. Except for the fact that it immediately errored. Attempted to access error token as Boolean. That's... Yep, okay, that makes sense. Alright, yeah, so instead of that, we need to check if the action equals null. Yeah, I'm definitely missing the majority of my stream music now that all of the Animal Crossing music's gone. attempts to access error token as data list. Where is this happening? Events, which is how on earth do we get this working? So we'll do for action contains key, put on events dot key events. Do that false check on that one. Okay, alright. Now if I come over here. Alright, it errors. Alright, let's find out why. Attempted to access error token as data list. Hmm. Well, let's change this up to new data list. Now, by the time we get to that, it should never be failing because we've just created it right ahead of it. Except for it fails immediately there. Attempted to access error token as data list. Where on earth am I running into that? So I'm not hitting invoke. It would have to be here. But I'm literally assigning it the earlier line if it doesn't exist. Alright, I know it's 6 o'clock here, but I'm gonna go slightly over because I really want to know what on earth is happening. If action.try get value, put on action.key events, out data dictionary, token type dictionary, out value, debug log, events are not found. Event list found. Events are not found. How? Ah. I figured out what I'm doing wrong. I'm doing udon event instead of udon action because actions are what I'm handling for callbacks. And that doesn't have events. That doesn't have event, that has events. Is what we actually needed. Test method. We didn't get a log out of it. So invoke output value as invoke. Debug log output found. Let's see. Output name, output value. Output not found. Ignore the massive pile of U# compile errors when I'm tapping back in. It just has to think for a moment. Alright. So, when I click this, it should log correctly. Do the thing. Output not found. Okay. That means that true is not being flagged on it. Udon event has output. What is this Udon event occurring? Oh, am I just not on an item added to add listener, this name of test method. Yeah, so I need a way to add a listener with the... Yeah, okay. So duplicate these and string output name. Okay, okay. So now if we go back to our receiver, receiver method is name of test method, otherwise name of my value. So now we should have a system that correctly allows us to subscribe to events in Udon that also pass variables along to it. Hypothetically, we will find out. Alright, over. Output found. Test value. This is the test value. Yo! Oh my god, it's working. Okay. So, we now have a system where we can add a listener to an event thing where there's a target for receiving the event, which is this, a name of the event being sent, and a name of a variable that is being sent afterwards. Have you watched the Marvel show Wonder Man? No, I have not, unfortunately. I've basically completely fallen off of anything Marvel since Endgame because it was too enough of an ending for me. This is but yeah, crap. Okay, yeah, this is actually working now. All right. In that case, let's go ahead and yeah, actually, can I do? Maybe I should pass in a type so that we don't use the power of set program variable poorly. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, probably for the best. Key output type. Output type. So let's see down here. Then we need type, output type, system type, yeah. Output name, output type, name, full name, sure. String output value type equals type of t dot full name. Oh god, is type of t even a thing that you can do in Udon? I'm about to find out. Output type. All right. Let's see if that is udon friendly. Okay, compiler's not complaining yet. Type of tea really feels like a thing that the udon compiler wouldn't actually have available. Okay. Output value type. Type of output. Wait, no. Okay, that is what we're comparing there. I want to get that, but again, output type. The output type. There we go. Yeah, we just needed a little bit more safety netting on this because we're using set program variable, which is incredibly powerful in Udon, to the point that it can magically transform the type of a variable. It's like, oh yeah, you know this float? It is now a string. Hope your script was ready for that. So I just needed a little bit more safeguarding. Let's see here. Where'd this break? Send the access error token as boolean. Where are we getting an error token for key has output? Oh, just missed it here. Okay. I don't know why they have meowing there. Like, this is Cyber's world, right? From Desroom? No, welcome to the city, technically. I don't remember there being a plethora of cats, but maybe. Test method, this is a test value. Perfect. Alright, everything's up and working. We've got all the callbacks set up. It is properly setting variables when you run an event. And yeah, okay. Perfect. I like this. I guess I could have an else check here. Debug, log, warning. Event unable to assign variable. Type. Output body type does not match expected. Output type. Okay. Well, perfect. I'd say that's pretty productive today, since we basically invented the ability to subscribe to udon callbacks. And I mean, technically we've got synced items going in and out of the inventory that that properly work for the menu here. I guess we can just do a quick sanity check to make sure those work here at the end of the stream. So, spawn a bunch of swords. 1, 2, 3. And now we go down to our canvas. We run the match inventory. There are 3 swords appearing in this list. Be higher. There we go. Then I can take another sword, put it in, run match inventory again, and we have 4. Perfect. That is the thing that I wanted this event subscription to work for, because I want the menu to listen to on items added and removed from the actual inventory system itself. So that's going to make that system way cleaner, way easier than having a bunch of reliance on a bunch of other nonsense. But yeah, I am happy with this, and we'll be calling it here for today. Yeah, well, appreciate everyone who stopped by and hung out for a bit. Yeah, we're definitely making some headway on it, even if most of today's work, I guess, was on an event subscription model, which honestly, pretty happy is working as well. It just isn't very, well, Twitter screenshot worthy, I'll be honest. But yeah, well, let me swap over to, there we go. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for stopping by. It was great as always. Planning on streaming again next week at the same time. Hopefully we won't end up going 20 minutes over like this time where I was debunking stuff. But let's plan on seeing everyone next week. And until then, have a good day.